Hi, this is Holly Robbins again with Effective Dialogue Basics. Now that we've taken some time to develop an analytical self that can step back from the emotions and say, interesting, we're going to use that analytical self to identify our emotional selves. I like to call them lab rats, just to carry through that analogy. When we were children, we were very single-minded. We would only think about the things that we wanted, and then we would go right after that. As we grew and developed, we started to form other neural pathways that helped us to be able to cope better with the people around us, so that we're not just looking at what we ourselves want, but we're looking out for what the people around us are expecting of us, whether it be parents, teachers, friends. Each set of people is going to require some different type of behavior from us, and we had to make those adaptations. Those adaptations created new pathways in our minds and made it so that we're not just single-minded anymore as we were when we were children. Now this can end up causing us some problems because we have inner conflict. And I have good news for you. Up to this point, you may have thought that your inner conflicts are just nothing but annoying and absolutely useless. And I'm excited to tell you that that is not the case, because those inner conflicts are what we're going to use to identify our emotional selves, or like I said earlier, our lab rats. So what I'm going to have you do as soon as this video is over, I want you to take a piece of paper and a pen and just write down as many inner conflicts as you can remember that you have had within the last year. This is very important because these inner conflicts are going to help us to discover our emotional selves, these other roles that we play, these lab rats that we have that tend to be in conflict with one another on a fairly regular basis. And once we can have our analytical self identify those different roles, we can begin to reconcile them. One of the examples I like to use of an inner conflict, I went to the grocery store with one or two children, and everything was fine until we ran into a friend of mine, somebody that I wanted to interface with and have a conversation with. Well, of course, it only takes 2 or 3 minutes before those children are incredibly bored. The scenery is not changing, and they realize they're no longer the focus of my attention, and they start to act out. The part of me that wants to make sure everything's good with my children starts not being able to pay 100% attention to that, because I'm also paying attention to this friend. So this inner conflict is not as simple as it may have seemed on the surface. We have one process in my mind that is trying to be the mother for these kids. There's another part of me, another process going on, that wants to be a really good friend and interface with the person that is in front of me right now. We could further complicate it if I were to care about what other people think. So if my child starts really freaking out for one reason or another and making a big scene, suddenly there's another part of my brain that's active that cares what people think of me. We might call that the teenager self. So all of a sudden, I have 3 different processes going on up here in one head, and only one body with which to even take care of any of these things. So this causes inner conflict. But we have also just now identified 3 different processes. So what I would like you to do is take that piece of paper and write down the inner conflicts that you go through, and then just begin to delineate what roles are causing those conflicts. For me, again, one is the mom, another one in there is the friend, another one is the teenager, the one that really cares what other people think. Thank God that's not a very strong one anymore. And then I just want you to write those out, and we're going to take some time in the next video to be able to analyze those inner selves and hopefully get them more on the same page so that there's less inner conflict and significantly more harmony within you as an individual, and we can carry that harmony right on into our relationships with other people. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your attention, and please leave any comments or questions that you have in the comment area below.